Hey Skyfarers, and welcome to Aethercast, the Kharadron Overlords channel and podcast, where today we have got a special guest on the show, someone that you might not have heard of before, Mr. Alexander Krohn.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. We've never had you on the show before. Yeah, it's cool. But no, we are talking with Krohn today because Krohn recently went 5-0 at a tournament. Well done, Krohn.
Finally, Max was looking for a double ironclad list, so I gave it to you. You
just
happy
have to
with me
test
now,
it
Max?
out before you go.
Yeah, like the moment I saw that, like I went for it, painting the second one. The second I heard it, Alex, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for once we won't have Max asking the question, why did you choose a frigate instead of a second ironclad?
Because ironclads are just the best.
They
I'm
are.
telling you.
They are.
They need to go down in points. They can play free.
I mean, you can play free anyway.
Actually, yeah, I saw the one there a guy play free, but he didn't do too well.
And of course, we are also joined by Dwight and Max Bowman.
Yes, hello.
Give you a proper introduction.
Yeah, today is all about
painting
Alex.
an ironclad.
Yes, I am painting an ironclad which formerly belonged to Phil McGuinness, who has also been featured on the show previously, like 2 years ago, I think. Some people fall astray and they sell all their armies. And I said, you know what? Before it goes to some dirty elf people, I'll take the ironclad off your hands. It was painted, and he kindly brought it over to Prague to Eos Worlds, so I didn't have to deal with shipping and everything. And I'm just repainting parts of it to fit my army scheme. So instead of I think he had a blue and gold Zilfin scheme, it's now the dark green, ivory, and copper theme of my army, which is basically a Dark Angels theme I just copied. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
How have you approached repainting it? Did you like strip it?
No, I did not. Actually, it helps because I don't know if you can actually see it. Probably very bad. But the ivory parts. So to paint ivory over a black base coat is horrible. It takes you like 5 coats, and the same goes for a black over a light base. It takes you 2 or 3 coats. So it's pretty easy here. I just painted green over the blue parts and copper over the golden parts, and it didn't take me too many coats. The black is the same as where I painted it. Metal is metal, and I'm just repainting some of the gold because I have a different recipe for the gold. More or less, it's already with the green instead of blue. It looked 50% done.
Okay.
So I can play it. It's painted. I can take it to a tournament, and I'll continuously do some little details here and there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So it's a relief. You don't have to I need to paint an ironclad for a tournament because it's painted. I can play it. It's legal. I won't win, best painted with it, but at least I can use it.
Yeah.
And I have already used it. Yeah.
What's the weapon that you put on it, or that feels?
Actually, it came like this without weapon.
Okay.
But from my other ironclad, I still had the volley gun over, and I just magnetized it, and it fits perfectly. So I have one with volley gun and one with sky cannon. But I don't mind playing it with double sky cannon because who's gonna tell? No one can see. I just tell the people it's both sky cannons, and mostly people are okay with it.
Yeah, most people won't mind with it. Cool. And hello to anyone in the chat as well. Jay Durfee, John Barr, Lyson. Hi to all of you. So, before we talk about the main news, there's probably some other minor bits of news. So Sentinels have a new warscroll.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that official? Or is that just a leak?
it's from the dual box.
Yeah, which came out
which
yesterday.
Came out
Okay.
today or yesterday, depending where you live.
Mhm.
So usually they stick with the rules 90% of the time. Some have little changes. I think the Alopex, they changed it from the Fire Slayer IDK box to then the book. So I expect the Sentinels to be more or less the same as they are in New War Scrolls. So for who hasn't seen it, range reduced to 24 inches, the long shot. They lost the ignore line of sight, but yes, therefore they retained their mortals on 6 and empowered on 5s. The Shining Company is now on the War Scroll, so it's always a -1 to hit. And yeah, the main change is just the, it's 24 instead of 30, but they can still, depending on the spells and other stuff in the book, if that remains the same, they can still get to 42 inches threat range or teleport.
And they went down in points as well.
Yeah, they went down in points. I think basically they're the similar role as bow snakes. Bow snakes can shoot twice on 2 mortals and 6s, and they have rend. And these guys come in bigger numbers and do mortals and 5s and 6s.
How many points are they now?
Well, the points is,
I believe.
yeah, the points I wouldn't believe the points, because the points in the box are always pointed, so both parts in the box are equally.
Right.
Although from war scrolls and unit wise, they are not equal. Like, it's not a fair game that you're playing with these units, but points wise, yes, they are equal.
Tzeentch is Tzeentch looks like they got the short end of the stick here.
Yeah.
I think Tzeentch will be paying for their past sins for a bit now.
Yeah. So yeah, the Tzeentch stuff changed. Curseling doesn't seem to be that good anymore, but Arcanines lost the wizard keyword, so they can't cast anymore. But again, this is just a dual box. I don't know when the books come out. I assume within the next month. And then everything could be different, could change depending on synergies in the book.
Yeah.
Sentinels could be the best unit in the book or the worst.
Again.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it's so interesting.
Space KO got a really nice unit revealed with those guys in like power armor suits with weapons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in the baby carrier mech
The
suit.
Grandson Fonders, where they come, basically.
I don't know, these things, they just amaze me. Yeah, like, you have this exoskeleton, but you're not wearing a helmet. Like, someone's gonna shoot you in the head and you're dead anyway. Like, what's all this doing for you?
Because they have stilt smacks. They basically dwarf.
Yeah, I don't know. They look a bit silly, in my
I
opinion.
actually really like those helmets for some KO conversions with the goggles on top and the caps.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
It's gonna be like in Australia $100 for a pack of 3 about.
Probably. Yeah.
And if that's a lot of money just to get 3 heads.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, if you use them for like heroes, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Still expensive hero. What I like of the new release is the hero, the HQ choice they showed a few weeks ago. There's 2 versions, I think: helmet, no helmet, and different pose.
Yeah.
He looks like you can make an admiral out of that. He has some cool armor. He has a cape, standing on a dual tactical rock. Power pose. He has a gun. He has an axe.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
I like
and
there's a pointy pose. I like that one better.
Yeah.
That one's cool.
That one's cool. I do like those berserkers they showed some weeks ago.
Yeah.
That would make good fire slayers.
Yes, good fire slayers if you wanna bring some in your fring, but you don't want to paint, naked dwarves that all look the same. Make them a little more KO-y.
Yeah.
Those are pretty neat, I think. The other stuff, I don't know. I'm probably not gonna buy any because I have a full KO army. I don't know how many 1,000 points, 6 or 7 by now. So I wouldn't mix the aesthetics.
No,
But if you're new and this is something interests you, it's less steampunky, and I'm sure you can get away with it.
I'm waiting to see if they get any other bigger vehicles.
Yeah, I'm hoping to
I
get a big
assume
tank.
we'll see, yeah, definitely some bigger vehicles. At the Nova reveal
Yeah, Nova will show off
show,
something.
so that will definitely show the book, the last missing units, maybe a start box. So I'm pretty sure that that's their big 40k thing for that show.
And they might show off the 2 destruction armies for Age of Sigma, is my guess, because we've still got 2 destruction armies in this quarter.
I mean, there's 3 options.
Yeah.
And I am fearing it's Sons of Behemoths and Ogres. Although I hope it's not Sons and it's Gits. I'd love for it to be Gits, but man, it's like Sons makes a lot of sense because it's an easy thing to do. It's 4 pages, 5 pages.
Like they've had problems with Sons. You know, they took a very their gimmick with them was they counted lots of models, and that's just been blown out of the water now with the new GHB. So, like, because when like a unit of 10 walks on, it's like, well, they count as 30 models. It just, not great for them.
They're still not bad.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, because we lost the whole extra points for monsters or for killing monsters, putting them as prior targets and so on. So they're not bad. Like Sons are not bad, although they have with some armies now, like they just spike damage. And they can take out a Gargant easily, but they still have play. They're not a bad army to play.
I kind of like that there is a different play around them now. It's not just about killing them. Like there is another
outscoring them. Yeah,
you can just outscore them if you want to.
Yeah, well, not with KO, but
no, but some armies can. So it's a bit more interesting.
Absolutely, yes. Also, other news: we had some leaks about the next GHP.
Yeah.
Which are leaks.
Really?
We don't know if they're true or not, but it makes sense. We're going into the age of cavalry, which is great for KO again because we don't have any.
Wait, hang on, aren't we already in the age of cavalry?
Yeah, but now cavalry just does more damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do more. Everyone gets a 2+ D3 mortals on impact against certain.
One day we'll get into the age of war machines.
Oh, I hope so. Like war machine. Oh, extra damage on range against heroes.
That's how.
Like ignore lookouts or something like that. That'd be awesome. Yeah. So there's battalions
the Ordinator
and
double shoot.
Against cavalry, you can get a ward save. I think it was with some units, special units in that battalion against cavalry attacks. So it's we make these units better, and you get a battalion to defend better against it. Okay, cool. Looking forward to see if that's all they change or if they're gonna do a whole bunch of new battle plans, new extra rules, new blah blah blah.
Points tweaks as well at the very least.
I hope it doesn't. I don't know, and that's because it's only 6 months that we do this infantry thing, isn't it? It feels so small. I'd like it to be
short.
A year.
Yeah.
No. The time you spend a month thinking about something, and then you build the models and paint them up, and then it's like, right, okay.
I mean, it takes the meta. What now? 2 months that we actually have a meta and we understand like what's good, what's not, and then
the whole thing changes.
You have a month to build an army. 2 months that you need to build an army, even longer, and then everything changes. Okay,
especially for us, Alex. Maybe 2 events in that time.
Yeah, perhaps. And I mean, for us, Alex, with AOS Worlds, it's like we have to wait for January to figure out what we're gonna take next year. So it's a bit annoying, but okay.
Oh yes. So by the time next Worlds rocks around, it'll be
Yeah, it will be the
a
season
whole
2.
new book.
So everything that's happening now is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant totally, but it's it will change. Yes.
For
Which is a bit
Australian
frustrating.
Masters, that will be happening next year. So that's gonna have cavalry or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I mean, Gold Grunters are good now. They'll be better then. Blood Knights, same story.
Well,
So
who knows? By then,
Blood Knights.
engine riggers and
Blood Knights
Skyrim
are tasty.
might have a mount, a thing that says that they're mounted, and because that's what it will work on, won't it? That's how they
Yeah.
decide.
Currently, we just say mounted. So yeah, unfortunately, Sky Riggers are not mounted.
Yes, but by then there might be. Who knows?
Well, if they change it, yeah, that'd be awesome. Because then, you know, Barak's on might be a good deal.
Cool. Well, shall we move on to the other most important news that people probably want to hear us talk about, which is this guy.
Oh,
Yes.
Sorry, your
Drekki
reaction,
Flynt.
Max's reaction is like, oh, really?
I haven't
We have to
even
do
unpacked
that?
him.
Ooh, you got one.
He's still in his wrapping because I'm more excited, and I think we should talk about this guy, who's so much better.
No,
So
Drekki Flynt is great.
we're gonna go on a detour
love
now
him.
on the show. We're gonna do some list building with Kato Ezekiel because he's pretty awesome. Yes, we are. Who cares about Krohn's win? Come on, everyone can win 5-0. Kato Ezekiel, awesome model. Pretty good rules. Rules inside, it says. I'm gonna unwrap. We're gonna live unboxing now. We're gonna do a live unboxing and rules reading.
Are you going to put the iPad down? Or
Okay. Okay.
No,
I'm gonna do
no.
a live unboxing of Drekki for everyone, so you can see the sprue.
yeah,
about
we used to do the drawing first.
Okay.
We'll do Drekki.
We'll do Drekki for you filthy dwarf lovers. Okay, let's do this. If you're a minor, please ask a parent to help you with this and assist you with your knife.
You could just use your fingers.
We're gonna do this properly. Can't even get it open. There we go. So it's a tiny box. It's very light. It's about 17 to 10 centimeters. It comes with a nice dwarven head on the flap.
That's quite nice.
Nice kind of detail here.
I really, it's a fancy box. It's not like, you know, the standard.
It's a fancy. It's even fancier than Boogman's box.
Yeah.
It's got that
And
black
then
plastic in it. That's how you know
it
it's
has
premium.
the black premium plastic. And that's it. With a little instruction, which is very small. With a tiny war scroll. That's tiny. Like I need magnifying glasses to read this. The black plastic basically covers that. The sprue is much smaller than the box. Break this. Out of here. There we go. Comes with a 32mm base. Original GW standard base. And yes, what we all wanted to know, the tentacle is a separate bit, so you can leave it out. So this is the sprue. Here's the tentacle.
There is a question I have, because mine hasn't arrived yet. Is there more than one head, or is there just one head?
There appears to be one head.
No helmet option.
No.
Is the head a separate piece to the body?
Yes, the head is.
And the
what about the beard?
It has the beard.
Oh, the beard is separate. Good.
No, the beard is like the head is one thing with the neck.
Yeah.
But is the front of the body
like
proper? Like it doesn't have like a bit.
No, it's a bit confusing. So this is the main body here.
Yeah.
And it's like one leg on the backside of the torso.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the second leg down here.
But the important bit is where the beard would be Is it like?
So the front. This is the front part of the torso, I believe.
Yeah.
So this is
So it
his
looks fully
protection. So
detailed.
it's fully detailed.
yeah. There's no.
It's not like a cavity and like a bit that you're going to pin the beard into or something.
No.
So
There's just
very
on the
easy.
side. There's some cavities for the shoulder pads to fit in better. The axe, the
Very
arm
easy
with
to
the axe
just-
is separate. The other arm is separate. You can swap it out for Arcanaut weapons. It's the same, arm with a little shoulder thing. The backpack is separate, so you can paint it easy. Shoulder pads are separate, and then there's just a warscroll that you can attach to his side somewhere. So that's pretty neatly done, I think.
Very
Apart from
to
the
put
one
your
leg.
own helmet.
Absolutely.
You
You can probably head swap. I'm gonna see if the Boogman helmet fits him. And then we have the weird tentacle with some stuff oozing out. I don't know if you can see. It's very disgusting. Which you can leave away, and it just has a boot print, a hole. So there's no the miniature is not attached to it, which I approve. Which is pretty cool. So you can just find some rock or elven corpse. Just that one.
Cool.
And other than that, it's a pretty straightforward build. Backpack, 2 arms, 2 shoulder pads, head, 2 arm. Yeah. The one leg is a bit weird, but okay. Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
Drekki Flynt. Instructions are 2 pages. That's all you get.
I mean, you probably don't need instructions, to be fair.
No, there's nothing complicated in here.
Okay.
Can we talk about his ghouls?
Yes. Now I just want to check something, because
Okay, let's put this back in the box. I'll never open it again.
I'm going to update it. Because apparently, well, let's talk about the most important issue.
Yes, his 9-inch melee weapon.
Oh, let me check on this thing.
So what you do is you
Mhm.
charge.
Oh no,
you
here's
charge the enemy front line.
On this one, it's a shooting attack.
It's a typo.
Yeah.
You charge their front line, and then you get to poke over their screens into their big hero, like the supporting hero models, and hit it with 2d6 combat attacks.
With damage too. That's 2d6, 7 attacks, damage too. Well, it's okay.
I mean,
apparently that's going to fix.
The bit I like the most about him is that for 130 points, he puts out almost the same power as a frigate.
Which is not. I mean, a frigate is not it's not what you should be comparing yourself to.
But he's half the cost of one.
Yeah, almost. Okay, so let's talk about some. Just go through like 4-inch move, obvious. Yeah, 6 wounds, 3+ save. That's fairly tanky. That's an admiral basically.
That's a navigator. Yeah, 3+. 6 wounds, wound more than.
Yeah, wound more. He's basically an admiral without the ward in terms of tankiness.
Yep. Bravery 8 is good.
Shooting and melee. He's more shooty than an admiral, but less melee.
Much more shooty.
Much more shooty. Similarly melee. Yeah, he reacts 1 damage. It's still
damage,
good. 2 rend, 3 damage, 2 damage. He doesn't get the +1 to hit that the admiral gets, so okay.
Yeah.
But he has 2-inch range. I think admiral only has 1.
He does.
Not that it makes a difference. The problem I have is 9-inch shooting with all my heroes. It's
9-inch shooting.
Why?
Shooting
it's just like, you fly high, you're out of 9. Oh, I can't shoot my chemist.
But let's talk about the reason why you take heroes, which is the abilities, normally. Because you don't just take them. Unless they are like a big, massive monster thing. You don't take them for their shooting and their melee, do you?
Yeah, like melee, some of the heroes. Well, not ours, but
Yes,
in other armies.
unless they're very like a big monstery thing, is what I'm saying. But they don't have to be a
He's not a
monster.
monster. He's good in
Yeah.
melee.
Like
Just saying.
they have to have very significant melee. More
Joining the
significant
vampires, Max.
than a maximum.
I do
of
have a
6
Soulblight army. It's over there, and it's
Ooh.
mostly painted. Yeah, melee is okay, but abilities.
Okay, so the first one is you can.
Maybe before we go to abilities,
Yeah.
we should read the bottom row,
Keywords.
the keywords.
Okay.
So obviously order, obviously KO, obviously Dwarden. Barak Mona, they did it again. They keyworded a hero, which I do not like. Hero, Skyfarer, Marine, Drekki Flynt. Okay.
Yeah,
what's the negatives of being Barak Monarch? Can you still take him in Barak Zilfin and
you can, but he doesn't get the stuff.
Yeah. So basically,
yeah, but what do those things give to heroes? Like if you go to
auto run
Zilfin,
6.
Okay, he doesn't get to run 10.
Which
He's
is
not
for
going to be running. He's going to be sitting in his
4
ironclad,
inches, a
tapping
big
people with his pistol.
Running 10 inches is a big deal for a little hero in with 4-inch move.
Guys, let's just explain how it works in case there's anyone that isn't sure how it works, and then we'll talk about whether it's actually worthwhile or not. So yeah, if you already have a Barak keyword, you can still go in a different Barak, a different Skyport, but you don't gain that Skyport's keyword. So if you put it in Barak Zilfin, it doesn't get the Zilfin keyword, which means you don't get any of the Zilfin abilities, the same with Fring and all that stuff. If you put it in Barak Mornar, he doesn't need to gain the Monarch keyword because he already has it, so he gets all the Monarch abilities. So,
yes.
I guess the point Krohn is making is what abilities does that really affect? Which is not
in Fring, he wouldn't get the reroll 1s and exploding 6s, which exploding 6s on his shooting is interesting.
Would be very nice.
I mean, it has better units to use it on, but it's good.
Fight on death.
He doesn't get the fight on death with his attack is not bad.
Can he be the general in another Skyport? He can
so.
Probably, but it doesn't matter.
I think you choose an army and everyone gains that keyword. I don't think there's any rule saying he cannot be the general.
But it doesn't matter because he's unique.
The problem is, why would you make a unique character?
No, like if he wasn't unique, it would be good because you get around a command trait in Fring or something.
You're losing command traits, which is bad.
Don't get a command trait at all. So that's
no. Let me think. In Nar, he wouldn't get the Nar stuff, but Nar's shit anyway. Monar works perfectly for him. Zilfin,
what does Monar actually give him?
Unbinding with +1.
No, Monar.
Monar.
Does it give him anything?
It gives him the -1 bravery.
He can run and shoot turn 1.
Because the thing is, in Monar, he can't have a command trait. Which is annoying. So you can't have because he's still unique.
No, but he's unique. You can't have one anyway.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, even in Monar, he's like you wouldn't want to make him a general.
No. But does he get? What does Monar even do besides the run and shoot? The run and shoot and is the minus bravery. Is that the?
Let's be honest. You're taking it for the Gale Force stave anyway. So.
Yeah, basically.
You take it for the navigator. No charge.
It's been a while since I played Monar.
If I took this guy, it would be in Zilfin, 100%, to get him in range with that 9-inch range attack.
But then you're shooting a screen with 9-inch pistol, dude.
Can you take him? I can't remember how custom Skyport works because you get
custom Skyports. They can do everything because it's just KO.
Yeah,
it's just a KO unit.
There's allegiance abilities because it's not based around a keyword.
Yes.
So in a custom Skyport, he gets a
He can get the extra gold. He can. It just says your units,
Okay.
for example, or he could run and retreat and run and shoot and charge and stuff like that. So
or something.
he can reroll Battle Shock. Who cares? He doesn't do that. He can run and shoot. He can fight at the start of the combat phase. Once per battle.
Could be good. With his melee. I mean, it's
On Fearsome Raiders, yeah, he gives them -1 bravery. Okay. In Nar, who cares about Nar? In Fring, he doesn't get.
Well, Nara is actually the one that has the.
Interestingly, the fight on death is just friendly Skyfarer. It's not keyworded, so he would get that. He does not get the exploding 6s and stuff because that's Barak Fring. That's it. Urba, what does Urbas do? He gets -1 bravery. He spends a gold. Who cares? He reroll Battle Shock. Who cares? He doesn't get the extra gold. But he does get the extra gold if he fights, because that's Skyfarer's units. The end of combat phase extra gold. If you fought, you get an extra share of your gold. So he would get that.
So what we're saying is,
in Urbas, some things he doesn't, but the stuff he doesn't get is irrelevant. I think the most important for him is he can't run in Zilfin, but he can run, but not auto 6 unless he spends a command point. He cannot do the hero phase move, but you can get around that by putting him in a Zilfin boat and do it with the boat. And Zon, he does not get the reroll once to hit because he's not a Barak Zon hero. He gets +2 bravery, who he doesn't care about, and he can leave the sky vessel in the hero phase because that's only Skyfarers. And he does get the +1 to wound in Zon because that is only Skyfarers.
Oh. But he has that's
in
melee,
combat,
and he has a 2+ wound anyway.
Yeah,
so he doesn't get it.
So mostly it doesn't matter where you take him. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter where you take him, because I think the command abilities and stuff, it doesn't matter who is just friendly hero. So that is not keyworded anywhere.
So
it's the same. It's the same with Thunderic. Like the reroll ones to hit that he gives, it's just friendly Skyfarers. So you're fine. You could do that if you want.
So the first ability is you get to have the Aisling. So you pick a Barak Mornar frigate. So this basically ignore this ability if he's not in Barak Mornar.
Yeah, if he's not in Barak Mornar, then you can't use this.
Yeah, and it basically you make that frigate into the Aisling, and you get to, if you do that, you add 1 to the damage characteristic of the unit's boarding weapons.
How many boarding weapons does the frigate have? 4?
4. 4 plus 4 plus no rend.
4 plus 4 plus no rend. Damage
2.
Congratulations. You just lost a frigate. So, close combat.
It's a bit shit, but I think it's interesting for potential other characters to have in a new book, perhaps. If you get a character to have like admirals can make a flagship, and the flagship gets a certain rule, or Brock gets to his own ship, and that ship gets its own rule. It opens up
Brock
a
doesn't
new
need
design
a ship.
space,
Brock has
I
a
think.
flying suit that does multiple wounds on
Brock
impact.
needs everything he can get.
So much better than this.
Slight correction, the frigate has 6 boarding weapons to start with.
6? That does not change anything.
Because you hit a wound 1.5, so like 1.5 times, and then it has no rend. So,
I think it opens up an interesting design space for other abilities that are possibly better than this one.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's a missed opportunity, but I'm glad that the opportunity was discovered.
I preferred that he made the shooting better.
Well,
that would have been so much better.
I mean, we mostly look at things from a competitive light, but
Yes.
I want to talk about this also from a narrative point of view, because right, there's two things they say here. First of all, it's manned by a motley crew of misfits and ne'er-do-wells, and Drekki's pride and joy is the Aethercast, which is said to be the fastest vessel in
Yeah.
Barak. So it's the fastest.
Why doesn't it have move 20?
Yes, but instead what they did was they added one to the damage characteristic. So that's
Because of the crew. Okay.
Yes, because he has an ogre
Okay.
as his
Sure.
first mate.
It's
He has an
the
angry
fastest
people in there.
vessel in Bagmorna. Still not as fast as Zilfin vessels, though.
No. Although I've been reading the book, and this is kind of a spoiler, but it's not integral to the plot. The reason it's the fastest ship is because you know the big balloon on a frigate. It has two of those, so the front balloon is a big one as well, and it has two sets of like corkscrew propellers instead of one. So that's why it's so fast. But
An interesting
it still only moves the same speed because they haven't adjusted the movement characteristic.
Okay.
But,
Well,
yeah.
next ability.
So that ability is rubbish, basically.
It's rubbish, but at least he does need to be in the boat to give it to a boat.
Yes.
He can just give it to any boat, like any frigate in your army.
In
The other
my-
one, however,
his
which is Let Me Drive, is you can reroll run rolls and charge rolls made for the Aceling while this unit is in its garrison. So I believe frigates have a rule called Etheric Navigator, which lets them reroll run rolls.
Yes.
Why do I need to put a hero inside to do that?
Okay. And the annoying thing is, this sounds good because you're like, oh, you're in Mornar, so you get to run and shoot. So it's like, oh, I can run and shoot and reroll the run roll. That's quite nice. But you can do that without him.
Yes.
You can do that without him.
They can all do that.
They can all do that, and then you can reroll charge rolls. You'll say, "Oh, that's awesome," because I can
That's how you get
put
his
my
damage
battle
to
ram
boarding
on the
weapons
frigate or spar torpedo. No, because frigates have shit engine works and they don't do anything when you charge.
Yeah. And it's only for the
but this one has got
and it's
12
only
damage
the
on its boarding weapon.
Yeah, and the problem I have with this is a navigator, which you already are taking in Monarch because of the staff.
Yeah.
If he doesn't use his Ether Storm, or if he uses his Triumph, where he can do both, he can already give that to any ship that he sees on the board. Reroll charges.
It doesn't even need to be in the ship.
Why do I need to buy this hero to do that? Okay. Fine, you put him in there. You have your Aceling, you converted it, you put this little guy inside. That's where the problems start. You put a hero inside your boat. Now you have 9 spots left on that boat. What am I gonna put in there? 10 Arcanauts? No. 10 Thunderers? No. 5 Thunderers? Probably not, because they're shit. It's Jesus, people. Like frigates, that's the inherent frigate problem. It's 10 people, anything beyond is overloaded. You can't fly high, you can't do shit. There's no engine work to go around that. So you do not put a hero inside the frigate, which means the boat is so much worse because you cannot give it all-out attack, you cannot give it all-out defense, because boats are not elite. They don't have a rule saying they can spend command points, or your admiral can give command points to boats anywhere on the board, or some special rule like that. It's just bad. Frigates are just bad.
But now we get to the 2 abilities that are actually good.
Yeah.
These ones are good.
So the first one is each time he fights, after all of his attacks have been done, you can pick one enemy monster within 3 inches, and you roll a dice on a 2+. The monster takes 3 mortal wounds. That's 3, not D3, just a flat 3 mortal wounds.
Yes. So you committed. You bought in points. You spent points for a frigate. You put this guy inside. You rerolled your run. You rerolled your charge. You got into the monster. He attacked with his 3 attacks, 3s and 2s, 2 rend, 2 damage, and now you can on a 2+ deal 3 mortal wounds, and that's actually a good rule.
Yeah.
I think it's a good. I'd love this on an admiral.
Yeah.
It's good. It's so much
It
better
makes up
than
for
what
his lack
Black Knight had, like this 4+. You cannot move in a different direction. Blah blah blah. Bullshit.
It's a
Yeah.
shame the meta has moved away from monsters. If this was like 6 months ago,
It's a shame. I need to fly my frigate into a monster. Like
yeah,
I'm trading 250 points to have this guy fight and deal 3 mortal wounds, which will probably not kill the monster.
no, it won't, because most monsters are
Nah.
16
Yeah,
wounds.
14. Yeah, I mean there's some with less, but like no.
And the most he can do is 6. So the most you will do with this ability and his fighting is 9.
Yeah, there's a bomb from the frigate.
Yeah, frigate might have dropped his bomb.
Best case, and then there's the 2 damage attacks from the boat.
Yes, but
Let's not forget.
if you're counting on the frigate fighting, then
Yeah,
the monster
you're
gets
doing-
to fight in between.
No, you're doing something wrong already if you're counting on that.
I would definitely not just ignore his frigate stuff, his Barak Mornar stuff.
Mhm.
Put him into a Zilfin list. Put him in an Ironclad with a ram.
And an admiral.
Hero teleport that thing forward. Move the Ironclad forward. Charge in. Shoot his gun. Hit it with his axe. Do mortal wounds from the Ironclad. Do mortal wounds from the Ironclad's bombs. Do mortal wounds from his Skyhook.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Surprise! Smash a 12 like a 12 wound monster.
Mhm. And that will fit in with his last ability, which is at the start of the combat phase. If this hero, if he's within an inch of an enemy hero that has an artifact of power, you can try to borrow the artifact of power on a 3+. If you do, it can't be used for the rest of the battle.
Which is pretty good, because you can do this multiple times.
You just
You
can't.
can
Just
run
wish when
around
they
and
said-
nick artifacts.
You just can't do it in a garrison.
You have to be outside of the boat.
Yes. So if you
Oh, it would have been so good.
all this other stuff about you can put he'd be in his frigate. His frigate has extra damage. You can reroll the charges of the frigate.
Yeah,
You
you can
can't
get
do
everyone in
combat
combat. You
PvP.
can fight with the boat, and then you can borrow, but you need to be outside.
Yeah. So, and this fits in with what Krohn was saying about if you put him in Zilfin, you can hear a phase move the ship, get him out of the ship, charge something, and then you can maybe actually also turn off an artifact, which could be significant.
If it's
Also.
because
I don't know.
remember now, thanks to the latest FAQ, you get out within 6 of the boat, so you get out 7, and then you move
Then
4,
move.
and then you charge.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a pretty good movement out of that boat nowadays.
I like this.
Like, yeah,
on the 3+,
you'll shoot the
it can be potentially good. Like if you can nick a destroyer from Maw Crusher, that's big.
Yeah.
Is Destroyer a artifact? I thought it was a
artifact.
command ability.
No, I think it's an artifact. Pretty sure it is. Because like
No,
one per.
because they get
with
Destroyer
an
and Arcane.
Yeah, they can get more than. I'll double check for you. But yeah, that doesn't matter. Artifact of power. Destroy as a mega boss artifact of power. Yes.
I wish that when it said borrow, he could use the artifact after that. Like if he got the artifact to use for himself.
Yes.
That would be fun.
Yes.
That would be cool.
Add 3 damage to his attacks. Like Nick a Destroyer. Add 3 damage, like damage 5 attacks. Woo! Swinging that axe. I don't know.
I mean,
it's a nice thing.
Steal another chemist
how often
spell
will
bottle.
it
Now
come
he's got the purple sun.
Once, yeah, if you can nick an Arcane Tome, that'd be fun. Because it's interesting.
I mean, let's be honest. Arcane Tome is probably the thing you will be nicking most of the time.
If you are
it's a very common artifact.
within 1 inch of an enemy hero with Arcane Tome, so he's a wizard. That guy is dead probably after this turn. Like it doesn't matter if he has an Arcane Tome or not after that.
No. That's the thing is, either he gets into combat with something that you could have just shot off, or he gets into combat with something that's probably going to kill him.
Yeah. No, it's a nice thing. You probably the 2 times you could do this, you probably forget to do it.
Mhm.
So it's a it's a neat narrative role for him.
Does is it means that every time he gets into combat, you'll be able to be like, wait, hold it. Does that guy have an artifact? No. How about does this one? Which of these guys have an artifact?
And I hate
You
that
ask him at
it's
the start of the
3
game,
inches.
and, like
It's 1
that
inch.
guy, and just
Yeah.
beeline towards him.
I don't like it's 1 inch. If it would be more, then a hero charges you, and then start of combat phase, you take away his super cool combat artifact. Like he charges
Great
into your
engine works
thunderers, he's
artifact.
sitting behind them. He's like, no, mine. Your power sword is mine, and you're less good. But this way, 1 inch, difficult to pull up, and he cannot do it in a garrison. That's a.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing. Is the fact that you can't do it in a garrison. Because if you could do it in a garrison, it would be so much. Like you could charge in an ironclad and be like, right, I'm gonna steal. And then you know they'll be listed with like 3 artifacts. You charge in, like get the ironclad base in.
No, I think the times you can do it, it probably does not influence the game.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're running around in their backfield. There's a lonely buff character with some artifact jumping around, and like you nick it. Okay, congratulations. It's a nice fun moment, but that's all it is.
The other thing is it being in the combat phase rather than like in the hero phase or something kind of means that you can't do it before you unload a load of shooting. Like, because if you take away a defensive artifact before you do your shooting,
it's like you're gonna run this guy into combat with something to take away their artifact, which potentially can be good. I mean, take away the 4+ ward of a Loader of Affliction. But no.
Or the shot of command abilities from a Lord of Affliction. No, that's a.
That's a trade. That's a trade. Sadly, that's a trade.
You could take the crown, the no rally or inspiring presence.
The crown
away
of
from
woes.
The Daughters of Khaine.
If I'm in combat with that thing,
Cauldron.
like I already shot through everything they can ever rally. It's like if I reach, if he on foot reaches that cauldron lady, game's over. Anyway. No, I think, like as Krohn said, the only thing good is the auxiliary skyhook.
In abilities, I still the only thing I'm really excited about on this whole war scroll is his pistol, because it's either the same amount of firepower as a frigate or double the firepower of a gun hauler for 130 points.
But it's not in range.
Which means you have to take him in Zilfin. He's a Zilfin Alpha Strike character. You put him in a Zilfin Alpha Strike and just add that on top of everything else.
130. Which means
I don't know if I'd give up one of my 3 spots, or 6 spots if I take double battle regiment to do an Alpha Strike to have 2 drops. If I give up a hero spot for this guy, because competitively speaking, because the other heroes just do much more for my army. Like a chemist, he gets me an extra artifact with the collector trait, and he could give me a reroll once to wound. The admiral takes off a ward, which is so much better than whatever this guy does.
And he does it.
Navigator half moves. He can unbind. He can carry a Voidstone Orb. He can carry a Flare Pistol. It's so much more impactful. And the Endrin Masters can heal my ships, which is critical for my army for some builds. So this guy I'll put in if the decision is him or 3 balloons, basically. Like if I have 140 points, and like, oh, do I put in 3 Endrin Riggers or do I put him in? And I think across a game, probably Endrin Riggers will do more if I give them long range
take
weapons.
more objectives for sure.
They take more objectives. They do more, and He's good. He's a Skyfarer. He can go in ships, so you can score those White Dwarf battle tactics with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's something he's got going for him.
To do his stuff. Okay. So there's a couple of things to chat.
Put him in the Aisling. You could put 5 other admirals with him. That'd be funny.
Also Mendra Masters. But it's still not as good as when the Admiral used to give his...
I can get, for 5 points less, I can get an Admiral.
Yeah.
And if I'm facing an army that doesn't have monsters, he's not as good as an Admiral. And an Admiral has a ward save. He does.
Yeah. So the Admiral's multiple of Admiral.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I want to bring up from the chat is Jay Decker mentioned about taking away things like 3+ ward. But you can do that with an Admiral. And that's like kind of like
although that's only in the shooting phase. Once per game.
But that's kind of like one of the best artifacts you can take away is like something that gives a ward. Unless it's something really insane.
Yeah, something that gives extra damage, or it says everyone's -1 to wound or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, most artifacts are either 1 use. So by the time he gets there, they've been used.
Yeah.
And heroes don't tend to sit in the front rows for him to be able to charge them.
Yeah, they're going to be behind the screen.
Unless it's a big monster Stonehorn or Magmadroth, and he's just going to eat him.
The other thing from the chat is Jay Durfu asked about Tempest Eye, and as far as I know, he would still get all the Tempest Eye rules.
Yes, he does.
So
same with Brock or Fundrick.
Yeah, because it's only literally in the KO book where it says, "Oh, if they're already from my back."
Yeah. They don't care about whatever Barak you're from. Tempest Eye with this guy, he gets the extra move. He gets the extra save, which is not bad.
Maybe a 2+ round 1.
But you're limited on the amount of KO units you can take. Like it's 1 per 4 in Tempest Eye, so I'd rather take an Admiral. Because an Admiral takes away the ward for shooting phase. It doesn't matter who shoots.
This guy Ren 2.
Oh, and he's shooting, yeah.
You want to spend an Admiral Ren improvement for this guy? No. No.
Hero wants to wound with a chemist.
Yeah, I'd rather put it on a chemist to have Ren free.
Yeah. Or the other thing is 130 points. He is a unit of thunderers with rifles, and they have 18 inch range, and they're very single damage, but you get a lot more shots. Probably on average, because he's going to average 7 shots.
7, yeah.
Whereas
but they're not. The rifles aren't damage 2. This guy's damage 2.
No, but they're triple the shots.
Always double the shots, and you can get them to range.
They're double.
8, almost double. Because they have 11. 12, but next to you.
12, yes. 12 shots, 3s and 4s, yeah. And they're 18. Yeah, no, this guy. No.
I'm going to try him out.
Sorry, no. Admiral is just better.
Take both.
No, I don't want to spend too much points on heroes. Although heroes are good, it's the ships that do the heavy lifting. So I'd rather have more points for ships, not frigates.
So let's give this guy a rating or something. Would you use him competitively?
No.
I'll try him out. I'm going to try him in a local event. Is what I'm going to do. Just a 1-day, a 3-game kind of thing.
Okay.
But then you're
See
just
how he goes.
you're comping yourself for fun.
Nah. Well, maybe. Yes, but I think I can make him work.
Just generally speaking, fun-wise, narratively, how do we feel about him? Do you think it's a fun war?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to play a fun beer and pretzel game, or I'm just gonna play like the units I have painted kind of game.
I mean,
go for it.
Narratively speaking,
he's not bad.
Making your your own your boat be like making one of your boats be a special named boat that you can convert up and has special rules is a really fun narrative thing. Shame it's shit in game, but it's a fun narrative thing.
Yeah, take him. He's cool.
For more fun, I just wish he could use the artifacts that he steals, because that would.
Yeah.
Especially if you play against
then he's a unique character with artifacts, and that's just a no-no.
Yeah. So that would cause.
Because if you're fighting an opponent with multiple characters with artifacts, you could have like 2 or 3 artifacts on this one guy. Just.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Fighting a Greyfeared army with 6 artifacts. But then he's dead after the first fight. So no. No, like give him 12 inches. Give him 12 inches on his pistol. Why do they all have 9?
Yeah.
Like the navigator has 15. I don't know why, and he's the best hero I have in shooting. Like his freeze and freeze 1 rend 1 damage. They often like finish off that unit.
Like, I think if the navigator had 9-inch shooting, the flare pistol would be
the flare pistol would be useless. Absolutely useless, unless Zilfin.
Yeah. At which point Zilfin becomes the only Skyport you can
It's such a crutch then, that hero phase move. It's a crutch of the entire army then, by that point.
Yeah. Right. Let's move on, because we still need to talk all about how Cromwell.
Who cares about that tournament? Let's talk about the other guy.
No,
he does mortal wounds. Come on.
Max, look, it's got 2 ironclads. Don't you like the 2? It's 3 boats.
Okay.
I do like it. It's very similar to what I have built. Yep.
Before we talk about the list, Krohn, tell us a little bit about the tournament. Like, it was called Snake
yeah,
Eyes.
I mean, it was a tournament set up by one of the world's teams from Australia, Smorgan. He's got a YouTube channel called AOS List Labs on YouTube. And yeah, he's set up this tournament just as a. I think it's going to get the scene in Melbourne going. There's a lot of tournaments happening outside of Melbourne in that state in Australia, in Victoria, but nothing really in Melbourne. So this is him trying to start up the competitive community in the capital. And it was nice. The venue was a bit squashed, but it was a 64-person event, and it worked out. All the tables had painted terrain, and it was still a good atmosphere. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing really extra or special. There weren't any huge twists. With the missions. So the first 3 rounds, the missions were going to be a 50-50 choice. He rolled in the players pack. He showed 2 missions for the first 3 games, and just before the game was about to start, dice and all the tables played one or the other. So they all played the same mission, but it was a choice. Which was a little scary going into the event, because one of those missions, one of the choices on the second mission was Battle Lines Drawn, which is the one where no one gets to teleport.
Why do you put that in a battle pack?
One of the first missions was the first round could have been the auto win mission, which was
Lurkers Below.
Interesting to look into. I don't forget which one it's called.
Is it the one where you move in a line and if you take them all, it's over?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, the Lurkers Below. That's also a stupid one.
Below. But luckily, neither of those 2 got picked.
Did they allow White Dwarf battle tactics?
Yes. So he was. He made a point to. He wasn't comping anything. And was just said. So if it exists in the rules, you can use it. So White Dwarf battle tactics. White Dwarf regiment. Clan strategies.
Good.
Whatever you wanted to use.
Okay, so the list is Zilfin. Not surprised because you like Zilfin. 2,000 points on the nose, 2 drops. It's a battle regiment. So you have Chemist as your general with the Collector command trait, the Staff of Ocular Optimization because he has to have it to trigger Collector. Then you have another Chemist with Spell in the Bottle, and an Admiral. 3 units of Arcanauts, a Gun Hauler, a Sky Cannon, 6 Sky Wardens with body guns and skyhooks, 2 Ironclads, and Warp Lightning Vortex. Which is why it's 2 drops, because only one of those Ironclads is in the battalion. One of the Ironclads has a battle ram, and one has the last word. Because they're the best 2.
Yeah, the volley cannon has the last word, which makes sense. Because statistically, it does 1 more damage with Ugly Shell.
It's slightly, ever so slightly better.
So,
and Warp Lightning Vortex over
the sun.
Purple Sun, because it's, I don't know, the Purple Sun, I don't like that it comes back at you. It seems very good for an Alpha Strikey kind of list where you teleport in, put a Purple Sun in, and then spend that 1 turn to wipe them out. But the Lightning Vortex just sticks around and is better for a long game strategy, which is the point of this list, is to play 5 games every game and use 5 turns every game, and use those 5 turns to slowly do damage and
3 turns for you and 2 for your opponent. Or 5.
5 rounds.
No, 5 rounds. For 5 turns each. Sorry, I couldn't resist because a KO game can be over in 3 turns for you and 2 turns for your opponent.
I mean, that never. I never actually. Oh no! Okay, one of the Daughters games was a pretty quick game, but the other 4 were. I managed to get the long game off.
There is a question from the chat, which is: with having 2 Ironclads, were you not worried about other people's Purple Suns?
That's a fair question.
A little. I guess just. So there were a lot of Purple Suns and Incarnates at that event, but it was just like staying out of range of their wizards when you see them, because they cast them in the hero phase, so you can usually
Sorry, just laughing at cat noises.
It's got a 19-inch. The Purple Sun's got a 19-inch range, so yeah, it's a worry. But you can try and screen it out. You can try and stay out of that range, especially with the range of an Ironclad.
Yeah, that's my like. Obviously, you're going for double chemist to stay low drop and get the spell bottle, but your only unbind or dispel is a heroic willpower.
Oh yeah.
So
the one game that I
in the
fought
current
in
meta, at least what I'm seeing here in Europe, with a lot of endless spells, that would worry me.
My biggest concern is no navigator.
Yeah, again, unbinds.
Well, no, for the half move.
Yeah, it's you can probably get around it.
That wasn't such a big issue. The half move, that was, I was able to just basically wherever their big flying thing was, I made sure I was on the other side of the board. I fought a couple more of these.
36-inch move, more crosser. It's okay then.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, then it's just suiciding one more crusher, and then the rest of the army is on the other side of the board. So it's not too bad.
I mean, yeah.
So
I like the Sky Cannon on the Gun Hauler because, like, look, the I don't know, the Drill Cannon, it can do 3 mortal wounds, but all it does is 3 wounds. The Sky Cannon can pretty easily do 4 wounds if it's scatter shots.
Yeah, I
Does
like
more damage.
the range on the drill.
Mhm.
Like, you
Range
can
is
sit
nice.
behind the ironclad and still shoot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Although yeah, with the single, you can also do the single shot with the gun holder.
Yeah.
Is that
I mostly
24? Is
use
that
the
also
gun
30?
hauler
No,
and
the
the
gun
Sky
holder
Wardens
slightly
as one
more range
kind
than-
of assault unit that's just stuck at 24 inch at 24 inches or whatever, jumping on objectives. So they were kind of a team.
Gun holder single shot is 24. Okay.
Yes, 18 for the shrapnel.
Okay.
And then 6 Sky Wardens. So obviously, we know you've tried Sky Wardens out en masse. You're obviously still a fan of long range shooting with those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, they
They're
were
good.
just there for 24-inch range shooting. They almost never used their combat or their pistols.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Did you? Because obviously they could fly high and hitch. Did you use them as screens a little bit as well? For ironclads?
Not much for the ironclads. They were the gun hauler and the Sky Wardens were kind of acting independently for the most part.
Oh, okay.
They were in the back row, either taking doing the battle tactics of barge through enemy lines or taking an objective and just
Mhm.
staying as far away from the actual fighting as they could and just putting in a little bit of firepower.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Max, anything to ask about the list?
No, not really. I mean, the main thing that that comes to mind here is no navigators, no defense against spells or magic, really.
Yeah, the couple times I did fight the spells, I basically just had that hero phase. I'm just gonna roll 2 dice at it and see what happens, and it never worked.
Mhm.
I don't think I am bound a single ender spell this whole event.
Okay.
I think the only fair question to ask, since we always ask everyone the opposite of this, is were you not tempted to take a frigate with some troops in it instead of an ironclad for more points?
No,
No.
no.
And more drops.
I'd be over points if I tried to take 2 frigates over an ironclad.
Hmm.
They have less, like they 2 frigates have less firepower than 1 ironclad.
Yeah, the only reason
and a worse
is
save.
you have 2 shots at 30 inch, and you can be in 2 places at once. That's the only benefit I can see for frigates.
Yeah, there is a hidden benefit in Zilfin because they are battle line.
Yeah, so you can get lower drops, but
You kind of need Arcanauts to do some stuff. So you need things
Yeah.
to sit places and be deck chairs and screen and that sort of thing. So there is sometimes there's an argument for a frigate and a unit instead of an ironclad if you're trying to squeeze in certain heroes or whatever. Because it's more points than an ironclad, but if you take out those 90 points of Arcanauts, then sometimes it means you can squeeze in another different hero as well.
You could replace an ironclad and 10 Arcanauts in this list with 2 frigates, and then you'd be, 70 points down, so you could take something, probably, but... No, why?
In this particular version, it doesn't make a difference. In some...
Yeah, only reason is the triumph.
No. In some other lists, like when we were looking at in the Aethercast chat recently, some lists as Max was looking at, you could have, if you'd included a frigate, you would have been able to get in an extra hero, which could have then allowed to have like Commander Entourage or something to get an extra artifact.
Yeah, but at that point you're going high drop, so I'll kick 1 chemist out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, but it means you can avoid collector and all sorts of things. Anyway, no one knows.
And game 2 definitely
we're
proved
talking about
the
discussing
point
it
that...
and comparing it to a list that we haven't got on screen, so it doesn't really matter. Cool. So should we go on to game 1?
Yeah, it's a low drop Warp Lightning Vortex Zilfin list.
Yes, it's not.
That's what it is.
really
With 2
a real
ironclads.
thing.
So better shooting, long range shooting. Yeah.
Yes. Cool. So game 1
So-
since Soulblight Gravelords. So this is the bit we get to talk about that hero. Max, no, you don't, because they don't have it, obviously. So this was Castelli Dynasty, 8 drops. Vampire Lord with loads of spells, Prince Vordry with loads of spells, Belladama with loads of spells, Manfred with loads of spells, because they have the thing where you have extra spells. Is there anything important there in the heroes?
Obviously Belladama, she can do her turn someone into werewolf
Yeah.
spell, like kind of Kairos with his change someone mutation, whatever, turn someone into chaos spawn, which is good against shooting generally. But since you can fly high and then shoot, it doesn't do that much against KO. And she needs to kill models. So in your case, Arcanauts. She can tag Arcanauts with wolves, but she's a +1 caster, double caster, so that's good. Manfred does Manfred
the
things.
Vampire
He
Lord
jumps around. Yep.
with Rousing Commander and Gravesand Shard. It was a lot. Those are both once per game abilities that affect everything within 12 and give them. One of them gives them a 5-up ward
Yeah,
save instead of a 6-up,
the Gravesand
and the other
Shard.
one like gives a whole bunch of bonuses to a vampire, which he was putting on Blood Knights. There's a lot of
It's everyone wholly within 12. They get all the Castellite boni that they usually get by killing stuff. They just get for that combat phase, which makes
like
Vordry
+1 a hit,
killing
+1
machine and the Blood Knights. It doesn't work on Manfred. He is a vampire, but he's not Castellite. He's Legion of Night, so it doesn't work on him. Although I've played against someone who actually did it. Yeah, Death Rattle Skeletons, 10 of them. They're just deck chair sitters.
2 units of 10.
They're just sitting there, hold objectives. The Blood Knights are going in to do damage in Bounty Hunters, as is Prince Vordry. He can be on his own. With Amethyst Pinions, he's moving 20 inches. Manfred, he can jump around, teleport, start of combat phase. Interesting that the Vampire Lord is the Rousing Commander bearer, because he's comparably slow. So he'd need to cast Amethyst Pinions to get to 10-inch move, because it's a bubble around him, so he needs to be like behind the front lines to do this.
Everyone else was a named character, so he wasn't able to put it onto.
Yeah, everyone else is a named character. He could have put it on a White King on Steed, who has more wounds and is faster, because he doesn't need a Vampire to be a general. It doesnn't affect his battle line or anything. But obviously he wants another caster, probably also for the Purple Sun.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned so far. It's about Sun. So
what scared me about this list the most was that is just a lot of 3+ saves, and KO does not deal with 3+ saves very well.
The 10 Blood Knights, that's 30 wounds on a 3-up save and 6-up ward. Those 10 Blood Knights, that's a lot.
Manfred, Vordry, the Lord, the other 5 Blood Knights. It's just a whole. It's like Slaves to Darkness. A whole wall of armor.
If I see this list, I'd wish for 2 navigators for Vordry. Just no, sit down. You're not moving. Manfred.
Yeah.
He's not charging you because he's gonna die in Unleash Hell, and he's like he can jump. Like I think you probably shot him because that's what Manfred doesn't like.
Speaking of dying on Unleash Hell, so in the games, I gave him first turn, and when I deployed, I put my Ironclad with a with the last word accidentally within 3 inches of my Arcanaut screen. So he saw that, and he put Mystic Shield up on Vordry, then Amethyst Pinions, and just threw him up into my face. And then got a charge off, and got shot down to 2 wounds by the Ironclad.
And then you dropped the bomb on him.
He wasn't in range of the bomb.
Ah.
Because that's a 1. The bomb's a 1 inch. He was only 3 inch. So he murdered the Archnaut screen, put his jaws into the Ironclad, which did a little bit, but not too much. Then I warp lightning text on top of him. That killed him, and then I flew off.
Yeah. I've had the same with Wardroy once charging a Last Word Ironclad. Like it's the amount of shots that they just get through. Yeah.
It's 8d6 shots from that volley cannon, and then the carbines, and then the torpedoes.
And he's flying, so reroll bonds to it.
Yeah.
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 But my game plan going into was basically kill the Vampire Lord, kill Vordrai, and everything else should be fine, because I don't think it can actually hurt me after that.
I mean, Blood Knights on the charge with damage 2. They can do damage. They can do damage, but it is 2 units. Like you can.
So I managed to kill Vordrai. I did not kill the Vampire Lord. That Vampire Lord survived and got those Blood Knights, and they charged Ironclad, and it was very scary.
Oh yeah, because with him they get damage free, and an extra attack.
Yeah.
Tasty.
So they charged Ironclad. They did kill the. I think they got it was the battle ram Ironclad. They killed it over in his deployment zone. Sometime in turn 2 or 3. My first shooting phase after that, the successful killing Vordrai on his turn. My first shooting phase was terrible, because he popped his gravesand shard, gave everyone a 5-up ward save. I tried a gun from Manfred, put my admiral out within range of him, popped his ward save, rolled a 1, so Manfred still was on full 5+ ward save, and I shot at everything, killed a few Blood Knights, I think, in the end, because I just, after failing Manfred, I just didn't, everything else just shot at something else. There wasn't any point, really.
Did he put anything in reserve? Blood Knights?
He put his skeletons in reserve.
So in the graveside. But did he put the Blood Knights in, like, on the board edge? Because that's what Castle allows you to do, to put the Blood Knights in reserve. They can come in from the side.
Oh, yeah. No, he didn't do that.
Okay. Probably wasn't scared of the shooting on the 3-up save. Yep. Fair enough.
So did you roll the 1 for the Admiral's ability?
Yeah, I rolled the 1 on the Admiral's ability. So I was gearing up to kill Manfred's ward save and then just pour everything into him. But then I rolled the 1. Cool. So, target. I tried to just kill the Vampire Lord, just with some long range with the cannons. So I tried to solid shell it with the Ironclad and with the gun hauler, but none of it really stuck. None of it worked.
I mean, yeah, he is on a 3-up save. He's pretty tough. Yeah.
I
think.
So, but you obviously did win because you went 5-0. So what happened?
It's just so that basically this was like a very much a circle the wagon kind of game. So after the first turn, I basically deployed everything on the edges of the board and just went around and slowly picked off his Blood Knights, picked off all the skeletons. I use Proving Ground a lot in this game. So every time I go second, you pick one of the objectives. So only GV can take it. So he's got his 10 Blood Knights on it. I sneak up some Proving Ground it, sneak up some Arcanauts and just go, mine. prioritize the skeletons to make sure they couldn't because they weren't have
30 models on
any
their
objective they sat on.
All right. I mean, yeah, he
it was
lost
just,
quarter of his army first turn. So
yeah.
If
helped.
Vordrai had been around to actually, if he hadn't taken that bait, then Vordrai would have just killed a unit a turn, and wiped out my whole
he'll
army.
buck up and go to the next one. Yeah.
So did you try to keep more than 19 inches away from his wizards in first turn, or?
So he basically turn 1 he put down the endless. He's cast the endless spell immediately.
Okay, cast it. Okay.
Cast it in, and then I just stayed 11 inches away from the endless spell after that point, and kept hero phase dispelling it. But
could he hit anything?
Didn't do
with
anything.
it turn 1?
No. It just put it. He just basically cast it and threw it up in the center of the board.
He just wanted it to be there because Krohn has basically no unbinds or dispels.
Yeah.
So he puts it there, and the next turn he can cast his other spells that he wants to, and have the sun.
Yeah.
Although it lasted the whole game.
The sun had less threat range, you know.
Well, but the game happens in the middle, the first 2 turns, so it's a good position to have it.
Well, against most armies, maybe not against KO. Probably, Krohn was never going to fly high into the middle of the board.
Yeah, no. So I pretty much spent my whole game on the corners of the board. I think for objectives we rolled a 3-4.
Yeah, which on this schematic does make sense.
Is a bit wrong, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's that way around. Let's see if that or this one's wrong. I think it's just I just copied and pasted it from one side and flipped it.
Something like that. Okay,
cool.
No, then in case maybe we rolled a 1-2, I think.
Yeah. Not
that
it really matters.
It went diagonal. Not sideways. That's what
I actually got to control the purple sun in turn 5 at that point. I finally killed his vampire lord because he's the one who cast it, and then shoved it into Manfred. Didn't take out Manfred, but just took his save down by 1 and just started shooting him. It was definitely I needed 5 turns to win that game because he got an early lead and just had so much on a 3-up save that there's no way I could have alpha striked or shifted any of that in 1 or 2 turns. It was a 5-turn slugfest of just sleep picking him down.
It's not a good battle plan for KO because there's one objective the first 2 turns in the middle.
Yeah.
So either you take first turn and run Arcanauts in there, or do a Zilfin hero move and like create a screen and build a castle in the middle, which could work.
Yeah.
I think.
First turn I basically proving grounded it.
Yeah.
Put a couple Arcanauts, like just shifted a couple Arcanauts onto it, but everything else was doing its own thing. Turn 2, he had the objective. There's nothing I could do about that.
Yeah. It's a difficult
turn 3
one.
Was back on.
Yeah. So cool. So a tight game-ish, or points-wise, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, and scoring-wise, we were the same scoring system that Worlds did. So it looked at the differential of the 2 people's battle points, and then calculated a score between 12-8 to 20-0. So this turned into a 15-5 game. I think there was a 10 or 12 points difference at the end between us.
One thing we didn't cover. What's your grand strategy?
So I picked the KO spend a gold every turn and have no gold at the end.
Okay.
Which I mean I achieved it 4 out of 5 times. It wasn't. It's relatively. It's nice because you don't really have to do much, change much in your battle plan to actually achieve it. You're usually spending a gold every turn anyway. And it's only turn 5 we have to kind of look at what you've got left and make sure everyone's spent their gold. Get that extra gold off the Admiral by
Yeah, I mean,
saying,
you kind of
I,
want
I'm
to think about it in turn 4 to plan ahead for turn 5 in some ways. But
yeah,
Yeah, you need to start spending shares in the hero phase with the heroes.
you go. I make a charge, roll the dice, go 8 gold to re-roll it, and then just don't make the charge move.
yeah,
Mm.
okay.
You don't because you don't have to make a charge when you roll the dice. You can just
Yeah,
choose
that's
to
fine.
not, and you just spend the gold, as long as someone's within 12.
Mhm. Cool. Should we move on then to game 2, which was
This is
against
fun.
Kharadron Overlords.
This was fun. There was only one other KO player in the whole event, and and we managed to find each other in round 2.
So this list, it's kind of familiar. It's things we've talked about, but we haven't actually had an exact list.
It's the 5-boat list in custom Skyport.
Yes. The difference is it has a Horrorghast, essentially.
Which is the better way to do it, yeah.
And it's taking like a leaf out Phil's book with double battle regiment as well. So it's Custom Skyport, Chemist, Collector, Spell and Bottle, Admiral, 2 Navigators, 1 Woodstone Orb, 3 units of Arcs, 2 Gun Hordes, 2 Frigates, an Ironclad with a Battle Ram and a Horrorghast, 3 drops, because even though there's 2 battle regiments, there's 3 behemoths.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Krohn, obviously you knew what this did before going into the game.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel? And also, I mean, which you mentioned, it was going to be on the Mighty and the Cunning. So,
right, yes. So lots of objectives. And you get more objectives if you have if the GV, the unit that gets killed, is on an objective at that point. So I mean, the most important thing. So he wasn't Zilfin. So he was
Custom.
easier to screen out. So I made sure when I deployed my stuff, my army, that he wasn't going to be able to get his carbines into anything but Arcanauts, essentially.
So yeah, you made
which
sure
helped
your
a lot.
non-creatures behind the screens, and
yeah,
importantly he was more drops than you, even though he was 3 drops.
Yeah, so that also really helped, because that said I was able to go second and then wait for a double turn, essentially. So he's. I gave him first turn, and he came in hard, shot pretty much all the Arcanauts off. With 2 frigates, 2 gun holders, and 9 ironclad, it does a lot of firepower. And then he came in, shot all my screens off, deployed himself on the objectives. I had a turn, I shot back. The game, it was just really fun. KO versus KO, everything's teleporting everywhere. So there wasn't a set game state. Everything was shooting at each other. Joking about having some kind of Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack going on.
Yeah,
it was
when
just
you said
that,
about
boats just
shooting
driving next to each other and broadsiding.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining. As soon as you said about everyone shooting each other, I was just like, yeah, boats lining up against each other and broadsiding.
It was just like chaos the first couple turns. Especially turn 2, especially when all the screens had died and all the boats were just in the middle of each other. I think one of the things that really mattered was frigates have a 4-up save and ironclads have a 3-up save. So, well, he was able to whole army in and kill one of the ironclads. Before I killed any of his big boats. Then in my turn, I was able to wipe out 2 frigates with what I had left, just because they just don't have the staying power. The Horrorghast is kind of useless
against all of his ships as well.
Well, same for him.
Yeah.
He had the same custom Skyport ability.
Yeah. Although he had more
The
ships.
Horrorghast is kind of useless against KO because
Yeah.
for the most part, like he shoots Arcanauts, and then you just flip the Ether Gold to keep them around.
Mhm.
Doesn't
Although he shot them
shut
all on
off
turn one anyway.
the Triumph.
I guess he could use it against
He
Sky
shot.
Wardens.
I had some of them. I left. I remember at one point I actually redeployed off of. There were two Arcanauts left on an objective, and I redeployed them off the objective just to stop them from getting one extra point for killing them.
Yeah.
But I think I got eventually the double turn from turn 2 to 3, and just doubled him. And with the double turn, pretty much wiped out everything. It was just staying alive until I won the prio, essentially.
Yeah.
And this ended up into as a 20-0 in the end, just because it was after turn 3 it was kind of the end of the game.
Yeah, because then he got several turns of just scoring points where he's not. So
Yeah.
Okay.
But really fun. KO vs KO is my favorite matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a trading game that you're playing.
Yeah. I think when KO versus KO, drop count is very important.
Yeah.
Control the game.
So being the person who can basically wait for this double turn is that's what wins the game, really, in this matchup.
I think he was a little bit unlucky as well with his endless spell, because Horrorghast is probably is a very good choice, but if he had a different endless spell against you, it would have made things more difficult.
He did well overall. I think he went 3-2 in the end.
Mm-hmm.
I forget where exactly he ended up in the rankings, but he was definitely in the top half.
Cool. I don't think there's anything else to say about this game, really.
And
I can imagine the mission wasn't that important, really, in some ways, with 2 KO armies just teleporting everywhere.
Yeah, it was. So it had. We did some things. I got basically much 3 points for every Arcanaut unit I killed, because his was always sitting on objectives.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe cost him a fair bit then, because that's an extra 3-point swing in the game?
Yeah.
Or did it not make much difference because you double turned him and then it was over anyway?
But probably didn't matter in the end with the double turn.
Okay.
The extra 3 points, because KO we don't really have a lot of GV anyway. We had 3 per list.
It was the Arcanauts.
Yeah. There were other armies in the event who are taking this a lot harder. Also, yeah, we were very happy that it was Mighty and the Cunning and not Battle Lines Drawn. Can you imagine 2 KO armies fighting each other on Battle Lines Drawn?
It would have been.
In this case, it's
an interesting game.
Good for him because of the run and shoot with Admiral and run and shoot with his footnote.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was so in the event as a whole, the most common army was actually Soulblight Gravelords. There were 7 Soulblight Gravelords and 6 Sylvaneth players. The Sylvaneth were all also really hoping that it wasn't going to be Battle Lines Drawn, because
like why would you put this in a pack? It's just you're screwing over so many armies.
Yeah.
Like I understand no reserves to a certain point, but this is just
nah.
Okay. Forecast with their teleports. Yeah, it's so many armies want teleport.
It's the armies that don't have teleports. They're the ones that like it. Okay. So moving on. It's Daughters of Khaine.
Yeah. So next. We all know how this goes.
Well, I mean, yeah, Con, you should have had a good idea of what you were facing because you played Daughters of Khaine.
Yeah. So I mean, Daughters of Khaine are kind of my second army, so I knew pretty much exactly what he was trying to do. I was playing Pask from Tabletop Simulator fame.
Yes. Coaches Discord.
Yeah. But
So lots of snakes.
it's a Morathi and the bow snakes. It's basically except there's a lot of combat snakes, and only 10 bow snakes, and the jaws.
2 units of Canary to be annoying.
He had a Cauldron of Blood, which was a bit different to what I normally see with Daughters of Khaine. Usually that's on a smaller hero, and that gives you access to more Bloodstalkers. But it worked out, and the +1 save is pretty good.
Like 2 blocks of Blood Sisters. There's no screens in this army.
No.
It's just
and
the Kinerai are just for the auto battle tactic. Bring them down, shoot, move them again. Scored. It's a stupid one.
That's
Krohn, what was your thoughts against this? Like, were you thinking it should be relatively easy, or
were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was gonna be pretty easy. Sorry, Pask, but just because I know Daughters, and KO are pretty well situated to deal with Daughters. Daughters don't have an armor save. They're all combat.
not to our guns.
Well, the shooty snakes not, but you can stay away from them.
Yeah, you sit beyond their range and like their threat range, and just put fire into them. I didn't use the carbines much in this game. So I deployed, and it's diagonal deployment. So I deployed in my corner, gave him turn 1. He moved up a little. And then I teleported mostly to the. So everything pushed up towards me. So I teleported essentially to his deployment zone on the other side of the board, and just I targeted the bow snakes first, and made sure I pretty much targeted everything to the bow snakes to make sure that they died. So he wasn't able to. He was waiting for 1 or 2 of them to be left alive, so he could guide them all on 4+.
Yeah.
With his command trait. But just focusing down unit by unit, and I just made sure I would just stay 20 inches away from Morathi pretty much at all times, or 19 inches.
Okay. So you didn't bother trying to.
So even though without the navigator, Morathi and some bow snakes eventually hit an ironclad on the bottom left objective. The ironclad, I set up an ironclad there with an Archanaut screen, who soaked up most of it. So I think the bow snake, the spear snakes were only able to get into the Archanaut. Morathi was able to pile around and get some damage in the ironclad, but it survived, I think. And then teleported off into the other side of the board. I only ever actually did 3 wounds to Morathi in my turn. I never got it 3 wounds in his turn, so it took full 4 turns to kill Morathi. So she was a threat for the most part, but I just kept sitting on enough objectives to do it. And once the spear snakes were off on their own, like they disappear so quickly, even with +1 save from the Cauldron. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty easy matchup. This was a 17-3 in the end.
I think the battle plan helped a little bit as well, because it gave you the ability to sort of go
corner
around
deployment.
all over the place.
Yeah, he doesn't have many units, so he needs to spread out.
You know, if this had been on something like the first battle plan with the one objective in the middle, you can't push forward.
He could have
2 units of snakes with the shooty snakes behind and a bit of a castle almost.
The Archonauts died in droves again, but they stick around for just long enough to hold an objective for a turn, or be a screen for a turn, and then disappear, which is all they need to do.
They're 90 points, so it doesn't really matter. They die.
Usually what you do is Arcanauts, when Morathi has 3 wounds left, she charges a unit of Arcanauts and they only shell her. And she dies. That's what happened in my last 2 matches against Daughters. It's just, people tend to forget about only shell from Arcanauts. Like, they're sitting on objective, she's going in there like, I need to take this. Eye for an eye, I don't know what they go, and then boom, she's dead.
Then the next game, I took Morathi died to one Arcanaut with a pistol.
Yeah, spoiler
That's
alert.
rude.
The next game was against Daughters of Khaine.
Again.
Yeah.
So this was day 2. We had a bit of time to look at the lists and figure out what we were doing.
I mean, that probably didn't take you that long because it's very similar to the list you just played against.
I was like, yeah, it was just playing the same game again.
I mean, it is
so this guy,
he didn't have the cauldron. He just had the.
Yeah, he has a
without the
Harqueen,
cauldron.
so he can go 1 drop, but he has the Heart of Fury, and he has less stalkers, I think.
Yeah,
less sisters.
Sisters, yeah.
Less snakes.
Yeah, because
The Heart of Fury is
That's good.
pretty useless against KO.
Against
works
KO,
in the
yes.
combat phase.
But it's a good thing to have in a combat phase.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So you basically have 2 shooting units and 1 melee unit, as opposed to the 2 melee units and 1 shooting unit from the previous game.
No, so this is also just 1 unit of Stalkers, 2 units of Sisters.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, it looks smaller than the last.
Yeah, I think I found a typo.
I'm wondering where the points went.
Maybe one of these was a 15, and I forgot to change it.
So that's 10 sisters.
Possibly. I think he had 15. I think he had 15 shooting snakes.
Must have been, yeah.
Well, they both 15s.
Let me check quickly.
It can only be 1 because you can only have 4 reinforcements. And these come in 5s. So he already has 3, so 1 can be 15. Probably the Stalkers. More shooting.
Oh, I think so. Not this list. This list is right. The last list was wrong.
The last list.
So the last list didn't have 2 units of 15. It had 1 unit of 10 and 1 unit of 5. Yes.
Yeah, it seemed a bit.
There we go.
Okay, back to this list.
Right.
Back to this.
So
We
this
have
list, this list is right.
Cool.
But so the pre-game so we had time to look at our opponent's lists and figure stuff out. I think it helped him more than it helped me because he, I think, knew. Sorry, hang on.
I like the way that the sky, just a big door open in the sky there.
There we go. All right, just kicking the cat out. He was making a lot of noise.
Yeah, so the look favoured him because he had less idea of what KO did.
So I think he was friends with Pask from the last game. So basically, they talked and figured out, all right, so the last game didn't work. What do we do this game?
Okay.
And so you could tell, so when he deployed... Yeah.
The anti-Krohn brigade. And this was on another diagonal deployment, though. So that's good for you.
It actually helped. So he used it.
Yeah, this one
he deployed
favors
very
him.
well. He deployed he made sure the snakes. He put them in the corner, and along with his little hag hero. And deployed in such a way, he actually put 5 of the harpies on the board to begin with, to make sure that nothing of mine, nothing could 9 inches away from him, and my 24-inch guns would still be out of range. So basically, he made sure those bow snakes were going to stick around. He deployed them all the way back there.
And then screened so you would be like, oh no, my boat's here and I can't reach.
Yeah.
That's that worked. Roughly.
So
Yeah.
he this table actually had a lot of like big line of sight. Like, it was some big square buildings. So there was a lot of terrain with quite a bit of line of sight blocking and a lot of stuff that stopped people from charging. So it's a pretty dense board. And so unlike the last dock player, he also had one drop. So he actually, this is the only guy in the tournament who outdropped me.
So did he make you go first?
So he made me go first, yeah.
But you cannot screen your 30-inch shots.
No.
That's not possible.
You couldn't screen the 30-inch shots, but yeah.
So you can stay far away from the shooty snakes and still shoot his hero, his general.
Yeah, but I've only got a single 30-inch shot in this whole list.
Oh.
I would have
It's just that one ironclad with the.
Why didn't you take a drill cannon?
I would just ignore those guys in there and just pick one of the two.
No, but it's the dude that does the rally on 4+. That's the hero you want to get rid of.
Oh, but
Yeah.
he can only rally a unit nearby, can't he?
Well, within 18 inches.
Right. Kill off one of the melee units fully.
Yeah, you don't care about the melee units. You care about the shooting snakes.
Yeah.
The melee units, like, let them charge
Yeah,
you. They die on
you
the
just
shell.
shoot the melee units from out of range of the shooting unit. So if the shooting unit gets a double kill, they still can't shoot your ironclads.
Well, they shoot twice. They shoot in hero phase and then in the movement phase.
Yeah, but
he
put them in the corner, like really far away. So if you're over here, he can't shoot you. Like, and then if he's got a unit here screening you to stop you shooting them, you just shoot this unit.
I mean, we cannot change the game, but that hero is the one that has a target on his back, in my opinion. Because 18 inches, he can, like, if you shoot 9 of those fighty snakes, like, he's bringing 5 back.
Mm-hmm.
That's 10 wounds. So that's I try to get rid of that hero ASAP.
But he only had one 13-inch gun. So what did you do?
So he deployed his all his combat stuff basically on the line, and then he gave me turn 1. So I've been kind of doing a thing this whole event where basically the ironclad with last word basically sits in the front, is a giant bit of bait with some screens, and the other one stays at 24 inches usually, doesn't engage with the carbines and just long range pops shots at long range into things.
Cat is back.
Needs a lot of attention right now. So I guess he gave me first turn, so I tried to build a castle on the objective.
On the middle objective.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the one with the last word?
Yeah, so still outside of range of the bow snakes, but essentially put Zilfin in right in front of him, put a lightning vortex in the center of his army, then flew high back onto the center objective and built a little castle with some Arcanauts who ran up. Yeah, basically like that. So I actually deployed the Arcanauts. Perfect.
The triangle probably needs rotating. The triangle, I guess the triangle was more that way around. Not really big, don't really big. Can't draw triangles.
I deployed the Arcanauts on the line just to begin with, just to try and bait him, see if I maybe can get him to take first turn to just nuke the Arcanauts, but no such luck. He knew what he was doing. So I came in, put that there, deployed the other ironclad pretty much in the bottom left corner, which was kind of the point of that was to try and kill the harpies. So because he put 5 harpies down as a screen on the bottom there to stop me from getting near his bow snakes, but that meant if I killed those harpies, he basically can rob him of a battle tactic.
Yep.
But there wasn't a way to safely get within 12 inches of the harpies, so I had to keep the carbines out, and the scattershot cannon and torpedoes failed me and didn't kill 5 wounds on a 5+ save. So, with flying wounds on a 5+ save, somehow.
Oh dear.
The other Ironclad did well. Shot off an entire a 10-man unit of bow snake of spear snakes. Held my objective and just castled up. And I kept 10 Arcanauts in reserve down near the center, bottom center, because there was one of those big dais bits of terrain there. So I just sat them on there for a terrain save and waited for his turn. So he came in and I think Morothy found a way to kind of get around the screen that I set up, and he managed to get a spell and a prayer off on Morothy, so she was fully buffed. Came in, hit the Ironclad. With exploding 6s, did like 15 hits out of 8 on his on her spear, and just annihilated the thing. Turn 1.
Navigators.
But yeah. Well, I think deploying that close was making a castle that close was probably not the right idea. Should have stayed further away. Did what I did last game and stayed 20-ish inches away from her, but I just wanted to. Yeah, I was trying to just actually get a lead on objectives, instead of being on the back foot the whole game, like I had been with the last 3. I mean, it paid off in the end, but yeah, just that first turn was horrific, and luckily he didn't get a double turn. Otherwise, I could have been in real trouble, because then the gun hauler would have probably died next. As it was, I got the turn. I think took off the other unit of stick snakes and was able to put more damage on Morothy. So when she charged the Ironclad, obviously it last worded her, so she got down. I was put down to 6 wounds at the end of turn 1. Then in my turn, I was able to do another 3 wounds. So she only had 3 wounds left. At that point, just waiting for her to charge anything, because it's probably going to unleash hell her in.
I do 3 wounds.
Yeah. He almost killed her himself on his turn, because it was in his movement phase, when Morothy, his second movement phase, Morothy was on 3 wounds left. He pushed the little Morothy up into the lightning vortex to get extra range for some kind of spell or charge. I was just watching it, not saying anything. And then he was about to say, so at the end, I asked him, like, is that the end of your movement phase? He's like, yeah. Wait, no, hang on. And oh yeah, Morothy would have, and moves us somewhere else. So still same phase. It's fine. You can do that. But I was just sitting there waiting for Morothy to just finish her movement within range of the vortex and just kill the big one, and that would have been a very early game. As it was, I kind of had the gun hauler on my objective, just on the edge. And he pushed Morothy up to also just sit on the other edge of the objective, just staring down the hauler, not charging, because it probably would have killed her at Unleash Hell, but because she's 5 points and the gun hauler's 2 points, he actually managed to get the big 4 victory points on that turn. And again, if he doubled me, it would have been pretty bad, because he would have double scored on all the objectives 2 turns in a row. But again, luckily I don't think he actually got a double turn off the whole game, which was really lucky. The other Ironclad was doing a lot of work, jumping around, and just taking off a unit a turn, along with the Gunhauler and the Sky Wardens.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. So, of the 20 Arcanauts I put into the center, 2 survived from a squad: Sky Pike and 1 with a pistol. And then the unit 10 that was sitting on that terrain shot Morothy, took her down, 2 wounds, and then that 1 pistol popped the last wound off of her and exploded her, which was great. I had other things too. Like, it wasn't if this guy doesn't kill her, she'll be alive for another round. I had a few things in 4 inches, but it was just good that one guy got the last shot off.
Yeah. Glory Seeker.
And yeah, the Blood Sisters and the Hag Queen were like the last units that I killed, because he kept them. He still managed to like screen out and keep them at the back and safe for the whole game.
But what are they actually doing?
Until the
because were you just keeping out of range of them?
I was keeping out of hero phase shoot range of them, but he was always move them up in within 24 inches and just shot off some shot off screens in the center, shot off the Sky Wardens. In the end, the Sky Wardens were mostly in the top right quarter of the table for the most game, just trying to get shots over his screens into Harpies. Oh, the Harpies were actually a bit of a nightmare in this game. I think they actually got into a combat with some Arcanauts and were somehow beat them. Like, they were winning a combat against Arcanauts over 2 turns or so.
Well, it sounds like it would be a pillow fight.
You would, but they 6 attacks, 4s and 4s, rend 1, damage 1. We're killing like 3 or 4 Arcanauts a turn. Arcanauts were doing nothing to their apparently very powerful 5+ armor save. It was the dice were not with the Arcanauts in that range, but in the end, yeah, I did slowly kill everything, and then got 2 full turns of scoring every objective, which turned into 20-0 in the end.
Okay, cool. So yeah, eventually you got to the point where you could actually get carbines and stuff into range onto the snakes, the shooty snakes.
Yeah. I eventually had to come in with the battle ram boat and actually get in 12-inch carbine range. Like ironclad shooting at spear snakes will pretty much kill them. Especially because the Heart of his normal defense, Heart of Fury doesn't do anything in the shooting phase, and I don't do much in the combat phase. So I was just taking off a unit a turn. It's Daughters of Khaine. They're just very squishy. They don't have much defense, and KO just shoot through them.
I mean, they're only wearing thongs. So when you had to charge with the battle ram, had you flown high? So were you relying on like a re-rollable 9, or moved?
Usually not. No, when I didn't charge with the battle ram a whole lot this event.
No, I mean in this game though, were you?
I don't think I used the battle ram at all this game.
Oh, I thought you just said you did a minute ago to the shooty snakes.
No, the shooty snakes eventually. I had the other ironclad in the center in turn 5, and they try to charge on to, get onto the take the objective off of me, just to get his points up. But so they charged a Sky Warden to stop it from dropping bombs, and I don't think I had a command point at that point to do an Unleash Hell. But the boat, then I was able to pile around and just finished. There was only like 2 or 3 left at that point. It just finished them off with its combat attacks.
Okay. Should we go to the last match? Because let's be honest, it's Daughters of Khaine. You shot them off. Congrats.
Yeah.
No need to talk about this for 20 minutes.
Okay, so the last game was Nurgle.
Yeah.
So
This one was scary. It's Pat. Oh, it isn't. Patrick Nevin is his last name.
Sorry, Patrick.
Pat Nevin. He's a pretty experienced player. This was top table, so he was he's one of the big Australian players. And yeah, Nurgle, which is really tough. Like unlike the last 2 games, they don't die, they don't move. And it's
Lord of Afflictions, he can move.
Yeah, he can. So the Lord of Afflictions with his overpowering stench. So that's if a unit's within 7, it can't be issued command points, and if it's wholly within 7, it can't be issued or receive command points. Or it's
It's the other way around.
Right, yeah. Within 7, can't receive. Wholly within, can't receive or issue. So basically, if he charged a boat with a Lord of Afflictions, it wasn't Unleashing Hell.
Yeah.
Blower, Brotspawn, and the other 2 are 2 big 10 wound heroes. One of them is a combat hero with a 3+ save. One of them is a wizard with a 4+ save. Pasquale Blightlords have 8 wounds each on a 4-up save and a 5-up ward, and
a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of trying to roll a lot of 6s and then spread disease.
So this game was super close. What?
I just realised I got the wrong battalion on there. Because he didn't have command on charge.
No.
Right. Conquerors. I changed it on the units, but not there.
Bounty hunters.
There's a Gors and Nurglings in expert conquerors.
It was. So the advice I got some advice on how to play the mission, which I think the mission being Prize of Galay really helped. Because the objectives aren't all active on the first turn. So it's actually really good for armies that there's a lot more objectives in turn 4 and 5, so armies that play the long game have a much better chance. Because turn 1 and 2 doesn't matter so much for controlling objectives. That, and he didn't have a huge amount of veterans. So pretty much what I did was taking second, picked one of the objectives to be to activate, and then immediately proving ground it. So turn 1, I picked, I think, the one on the right. Proving grounded. He put his Gors up into it. And then in my turn I shot the Gors off, put my own Arcanauts on it, kept that. Then round 2, I didn't win the prio, so I made the objective in my territory active, and then proving grounded it immediately. And he had no way to get GV onto that objective, so it just stopped him from scoring an extra bit. The other advice I got was that, pretty much if the Lord of Afflictions dies, that's a huge, that would be a huge swing. So I kept looking for an opportunity to kill him, but Pat obviously had the same idea and did everything he could to keep the Lord of Afflictions from being killed. So in his turn 1, he actually put the Lord of Afflictions and his 2 fly units in reserve.
Yeah.
With an ability the Lord of Afflictions has, or his sub-faction.
Lord of Affliction.
Yeah. So couldn't shoot him then, and then every other turn he was either Finest Hour or Mystic Shielded him, so he was always on a 2+ save essentially.
Mm.
So I never killed that Lord of Afflictions. He was around all 5 turns. He was also very aware of the Admiral and turning off his ward save, so he was trying to gun for him a lot with his shooting, with his magic. And at times when he charged the boats, he never really fought the boats. He fought the heroes inside the boats.
Mm-hmm.
So the Ironclads both survived all game. All 3 boats survived all game, but the heroes inside and all the infantry were taking a lot of damage.
You just want to put the disease on them, and then they kill themselves. Yeah.
Eventually I used the Admiral's ignore ward saves, and I put it onto his combat hero, and it actually didn't roll a 1 this time, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So took out his ward save, shot him down to 3 wounds, and then finally the other boat on the other side of the map shot its solid shell at 30 inches and finished him off. That was just a fantastic moment. It's the one time the cannon worked. The other one only has a 4-up save, so he was relatively easy to shoot down with normal shooting. For the most game, I was just circling the wagon, trying to just chip away at him, taking objectives where I can, and proving ground where I couldn't. I got the double turn 2 to 3. Then he got the double turn 3 to 4. It was just the points were very close. He took a lead early on because he was just everywhere, and I couldn't really kill his models. Yeah. One of the big turning points, I suppose, that kept me in the game. I had both of my ironclads in near the top left, kind of on the edge of his deployment zone. Basically putting fire into his army and threatening objectives. And so he charged them with both the normal demon flies and the mortals on flies. And the last word ironclad pretty much unleashed hell, shot off the 2 mortal flies down to 1. They had 1 left with 2 wounds. Then turned its last word around on the demon flies, rolled 22 on the amount of shots for its volley cannon, and just annihilated them too. The Admiral finished off the demon flies. The boat finished off the last mortal with its combat attacks. I've cleared 2 units essentially on his turn. 2 ironclads just being just an absolute battle fortress. At the end, he started summoning a lot of units. There were a lot of plague bearers going on to my objective, and was really racking up points to the point where turn 4, I think I was almost ready to call it a game because I didn't think I could come back at all. And that was the end of the game, just because he was that far. I was killing his army. And I had the board presence in the end, but he just had such a high score. at one point it was 12 to 18 or so. There's a 6-point difference. In the last turn, I managed to get 2 ironclads again on the other side of the board to shoot off his last 2 mortal flies on cover with a 3+ save and all-out defense, and it took 1,000 points of shooting, but I managed to get it through. And then on turn 5, got the ironclad with a battle ram got a big 10-inch charge off to smash some plague bearers off the center objectives, and I managed to get just enough firepower into his Nurglings, who were sitting on an objective in my a piece of terrain on my side of the board that was getting him his grand strategy. So they died by 1 turn. I got 2 ironclads charging into some plague bearers to capture the center objective and my objective, and just pulled it back as in a 22 to 21 score at the end. But
Yeah, pretty close.
he didn't have a lot of. Yeah.
First question is, when did you use the hero phase move for Zilfin? And possibly related, where did you put the warp lightning vortex?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of good places to do that. I used it turn 1 essentially to get the Arcanauts onto the first objective that I proving grounded. So he moved one of the big combat monster and the 10 Gores onto that right objective. I Zilfin moved the Ironclad up, Warp Lightning Vortex, the combat hero and the Gores, and then deployed 10 Arcanauts, and then teleported the Ironclad off to the other side of the board to attack another part of his army.
Hmm.
The Arcanauts and the Warp Lightning killed 10 Gores, took the objective, died to the combat hero the next turn. But they let the Ironclad do its own thing somewhere else.
Yeah.
The Lord of Afflictions actually, so he came down and he charged a unit of Arcanauts down, also another unit of Ironclads down the bottom left, who were planning to try and get to that objective at some point. And he was actually stuck down there for a good 3 turns because he didn't do a huge amount of damage in the first round. Then Arcanauts retreated. He charged back after them, and it was just it kept him busy over there for a good amount of time. So I don't think he actually ended up engaging any of the boats in the entire game. He was mostly down that bottom corner, then moved into the objective just to take it back.
Cool.
So despite me having a plan and then not doing that plan the entire game, very close victory. It was a 12-8 in score in the overall scoring, which is what ended up making a difference, so that even though I was playing on top tables, I came second in the end because the other 5-0 won his last game on a 17-3, I think, and that just pushed him up just enough to win the event as a whole.
Yeah. So, I mean, talk about the games. And we need to be quite quick now, so we're already well over 2 hours. Did you have any sort of takeaways from the tournament with regards to the current season, or for KO or your list, like on mistakes you made, or things you learned, that sort of thing?
I think Ironclads are very Ironclads are very much worth it. I would definitely take 2 Ironclads in pretty much every list this season. Last Word is just such a powerful ability. If you shoot off all the screens, all the little chaff that an opponent can throw into the Ironclad to eat up the shell, and force them to send their big things into it, it kills big models in a single round of Overwatch. I think.
Do you feel like you missed not having any navigators?
Yeah, I didn't feel I didn't miss the navigators too much, really. Just because of with the movement, with the boat's movement, I was able to stay clear of most of the units that I wanted to stay clear of without having them be half or quarter moved.
Yeah, but then you're reacting to the opponent instead of acting.
Yeah.
For example, the 4
it
flies, if you can
definitely
put them on
needed-
2-inch move, it's just they're out
Yeah.
of the game. They're not doing anything. 2-inch move. Where are they going?
I mean, they could still sit on objective and just hold it, but yeah, they wouldn't be doing any damage.
Sure. Just sit there. It's I don't know how many 100 points 4 of them are. I think almost a quarter of his army. So yep.
No, I'm fairly happy with the list. It's at exactly 2,000 points. It'd be nice to have a triumph, but
yeah,
it got enough stuff in it. I think. I don't know what I'd change out for a
triumph. Triumph is nice because then you can have both ironclads on +1 to wound for a turn.
Yeah.
So what are you taking out to put Drekki in?
Oh, not in
you
this
said
list.
You said you're gonna play Drekki.
Oh yeah, you did actually.
I will, but that's not gonna have two. That's gonna be a one ironclad. 20 Thunderers,
you said you're gonna play 2
Drekki,
ironclads
Navigator,
from now
Chemist.
until the end of times.
Will you have a frigate to be the Aisling?
No. It's
Zilfin.
gonna be Zilfin. It's gonna be Zilfin.
Okay.
1 ironclad, 20 Thunderers, Drekki, an Admiral, 2 Chemists with a
With 20
Purple Sun and
Thunders.
30 Arcanauts.
How
Done.
does that work?
2
10.
units,
What?
10.
You're gonna play 2 units of 10 Thunders.
Yes. Dump them in. Everything turn 1.
And on this
good old
bombshell,
Alpha Strike.
we end the show.
Good night, everybody.
Did you feel like the Warp Lightning Vortex was?
It was good. It did a lot of work. It just sticks around and it just does lots of mortal wounds. I think
Because
it's very good.
The other options, you also get a triumph potentially.
Yeah.
It's
it's got a lot of play against Seraphon in particular, I think.
Yeah.
all those 4 wound heroes.
Yeah, inside that little.
You have all the little skinks hiding behind in their garrisons and behind a +4 to unbind and all that. Doesn't matter. Deploy Zilfin, move up, deploy Lightning Vortex, run away, watch all the skink heroes just pop.
Yeah.
Makes all the skinks useless.
It's good against that, and it denies board space.
Yeah.
For example, the what you said was a great move. Like, I'm gonna make this a proving ground, and then I'm gonna put the Lightning Vortex over here. So those 2 already are like useless for you. Like, you're not gonna run your GV units, which usually is a 10-man chaff unit, into a Lightning Vortex to sit there to score an objective. Probably not.
Yeah.
I think KO can use Proving Ground pretty aggressively just to force their GV, and then an Ironclad or whatever shooting you have can usually clear a 10
clear their scoring units, use it to your advantage. Or what I often also do is I make their home objective a Proving Ground, because I'm never gonna get Arcanauts over there. So I want it to not be a Proving Ground by turn 3 or 4 when I'm actually going over there with an Ironclad. To capture it.
The Proving Ground it early just so they can't Proving Ground it when you go in.
Deny the Proving Ground when it would suit them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well done, Alex.
But I think that's it.
And commiserations on not actually getting the first place.
Yeah.
So
5-0, but it's not victory really.
A little bit of a kick in the teeth.
It's not a real 5-0.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just
next
thankful
weeks-
that there's only one Slaves Darkness player. I really don't like playing Slaves Darkness with KO because it's just the whole army is a 3+ save, and there's nothing, and with re-rolling ones, and there's just nothing you can do.
But usually the same thing. They don't have many units unless it's like a special build.
No.
But usually it's what is it? Vanguard, Archeon, some little heroes, and 2 units of cultists.
Yeah.
Like Iron Golems or the wild Untamed Beasts pre-game moving. So if you take off the scoring units, then he needs to sit his I don't know how many 100 points Vanguard on an objective. But they want to go smash.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's a little play about it. Or you take an incarnate. Okay, so any tournaments coming up? You said a 1-dayer soon.
We've got just little 1-day. So we're lucky now that some of the local stores have started doing monthly 1-dayer events.
Well, that's cool.
But me and my group of our club are going to try and run our own GT sometime in November. So that's going to be interesting.
Cool.
We've gotten a venue sorted, and terrain shouldn't be an issue. We just have to get the mats, I think, and then hope people come.
I mean, getting the mats isn't too bad. It's pricey, but it's better than having to get terrain and then spend time breaking it.
Worst case, you can get those cheap mats, like these kind of, table cover, like once use things that you get for the big events.
The right size.
Yeah.
No, you can get not the neoprene mats, but like the cheap ones, which is basically a better version of paper.
It's like this half card, half paper.
Yeah, it's just they had that in Milan, EOS Worlds last year, and like after the tournament, you could throw them away because they all ripped and teared, but it was okay for 2 days. And they're
cheap.
They're cheap. I think it's €5 per mat.
Wow.
They're cheap. Yeah.
We're thinking to the thing that our tournament might be is we're thinking of making it a 6-round event. Especially if we get over 34 people, make it a 6-round. Which takes it just means the second day is going to go a lot longer, and that might be an issue for people who travel from overstate and need to fly home on that same day. So we're still thinking about putting it out there, but that's one idea. I think it'd be interesting to have a 6-round tournament.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so that's my next tournament. Probably one of the last ones for this year for me, because I'm away for the next 2 weeks on business in abroad in Asia. I'm gonna try to meet up with Stuart, the Iron Gutsman in Tokyo.
Oh, nice.
So that'd be fun if I can meet with him, because he does great videos. If you haven't watched any of his videos, search him on YouTube. Stuart, the Iron Gutsman. McCowan, I think is his surname. He does great videos, great analysis on all of Age of Sigmar.
He did a tier list recently. He was very kind to KO.
Tier list, he gets video, Nurgle analysis. So there's all sorts of stuff, and it's very, very, very good content. Go watch that. And then there's a 6-round 3-day event in Germany happening in mid of September. Already 110 tickets sold. So 110 people. Maybe we'll get a few more, get to 120. So that will be awesome. 3 days. It's in Kassel, which is in the dead center of Germany. It's Friday afternoon is the first match, or Friday night at 5. Then you have 3 matches on Saturday and two on Sunday. And then I have tickets for a tournament in Sweden in October, but I might not be able to go because it's the weekend before I leave for New Zealand for 5 weeks. So that's all of my November. Hopefully that works out with all regulations and stuff. And then it's already December and the year is over. So yeah, I'm playing KO in September. 2 Ironclads, and I'm not sure on the rest yet. But lists are due in a week, so I need to figure it out.
Zilfin or Thring with that?
I'm tending towards custom Skyport, just because you can use collector or other means without getting a tax artifact and going into higher drops. Because I really want a Voidstone Orb. I really want it with all these purple suns. It's such a good thing.
Zilfin is really nice with 2 Ironclads because you can have those 2 Endrune-works, and Ironclad Endrune-works are just so good.
That is true. It's 1 point going for Zilfin to have both Endrune-works, or you go higher drops and buy a second Endrune-work enhancement.
The trouble is, Max, is you seem to want to have everything in your list.
Yes, I want 2 Navigators, 1 an Admiral, preferably 4 heroes to do the White Dwarf battle tactics, because if one dies, you can still have 3 units in a boat kind of shenanigans. I want 2 Ironclads.
You want to be
I want to be 2 drops or less, and I want to triumph. So
a spell in a bottle and a Voidstone Orb and
a spell in a bottle.
Grudge Bearer
Spell
and Phosphex Bomblets. We'll put that in there too.
No, yeah, I want a ward, so probably a gun hauler, and I want some healing on my boats.
Yeah.
I can get all that, but then it's I want 3 threats, and then I only have 2 threats.
Yeah.
So currently I'm tinkering around with an Incarnate and 2 Ironclads, but it doesn't leave you much else. 3 heroes, 3 Arcanauts.
Just run 3 Ironclads. Triple clad.
No, the
That's
thing
the
with
next
Incarnate.
evolution.
The Incarnate is stupid. It is silly. It probably shouldn't exist in the form it does for that point cost, but it does what KO cannot do. It is go to that center objective and take it.
Mm-hmm.
It can go in there and keep that monster in combat. It can tag units and they cannot retreat. And it will, if your big monster hero charges you, he will get punched back before you start rolling those wound dice for the Incarnate.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is. It does die, but it does stuff. And that's the where I struggle is battle plans with where you only have 1 objective in the beginning, or you have only 3 in total, and super fast. Like I don't know, Iron Jaws, everything's in your face turn 1. I'd like to have something that can actually be hit back and not like shoot my way out of it.
Yeah.
So that's some of the thinking I'm doing currently, and I expect a lot of Incarnates. I expect a lot of Purple Suns. So double Navigator against Incarnates is just gold.
There were so many Incarnates and Purple Suns at this event.
Because it's so effective. That unit is so effective. So to have a 3-inch Incarnate is much less troublesome than have a 12-inch run-in charge Incarnate.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. Leah, what about you? Anything planned?
Not. Well, yes and no. Sort of. So there's a lot of tournaments in my local area coming up, but I also have lots of weddings to go to. My fiance keeps saying to me, "You can't go to that tournament because if you get COVID, then you can't go to this wedding," which is really annoying because I can't go to the tournaments that are on the dates of weddings either. So like each wedding is rolling out 2 weekends. But there is a 1-day coming up, which I can go to because it's not too close to a wedding. And there's also a doubles tournament, but I can't go to that at the moment because my normal doubles partner is away. So I need to, if I'm going to go to that, I need to find someone to go with.
Just take your wife.
To find another friend.
Yes.
No, you're marrying a woman who she cannot get away from you after that.
Like, if I'm married her, yeah.
Bring her to as a doubles partner. Say, here's your army. Right. 2 KO players.
Yeah. So I think I'm probably not going to go to the doubles, unfortunately, unless I can find someone. But yeah, it seems like I'll be going to the 1-day, which is a shame because it's not a shame because it's a 1-day tournament and it's good to go to a tournament. But there was a teams event this weekend, like today, and then there's other tournaments I can't go to, which is a little bit annoying. But it is what it is. And then soon it will be it'll be Christmas and stuff, won't it? Like my big event got cancelled, Bobo. That was meant to be November. It got cancelled, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, at least I've got something I can go to. I hadn't decided which event I was going to because there were so many, and I was trying to figure out all the weekends. So I have no idea what list I'm going to take. So that's going to have to be because that's like 2
Ironclads. Start from there.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got 2 Ironclads, Max. So yeah.
Well,
and I haven't got an Incarnate.
Get 2 Ironclads.
Oh, the Incarnate is just
take some.
You just take some, wire and some
put a little
foam.
skull on the end.
That's it. And actually, now you can buy it. You can buy the single one for
I have 2 Ironclads. Unfortunately, one of them is like mostly on sprue. So
well, we'll get to it.
Because I could still haven't figured out how I want to convert it and stuff.
No.
So
I mean, Incarnates are easy to make.
We should see. I might take Gotrek. I haven't used Gotrek yet.
Gotrek is good. He's just a more expensive, slower Incarnate.
Yeah, that is the problem.
Sadly.
Basically.
That is the problem. It's like he's slower and he's...
But he will probably beat up an Incarnate, so yeah, he can win that fight.
So, and it's what you were just saying about that thing. You don't have a unit in when there's one objective in the middle that you can just push forward.
You have 2 Stormdrake, don't you?
Yes, I do have 2 dragons.
Yeah, well, they're still good. Take those. They cost less than an Incarnate. So you can take a Sun in Zilfin and 2 Stormdrake or something. That works.
I mean, there's plenty of lists I can take. So.
Yep. All right.
Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks for joining me, Max and Krohn. Thanks for everyone that watched. If you enjoyed the show, please hit like. Please subscribe for more KO and Age of Sigmar content in the future. And hit that bell thingy. Do that. Cool.
We've got some ideas for exciting new videos coming up.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.